Hey guys, welcome to our Keynotes. Until now, in the Servlets API playlist, we have seen 6 videos. So here you can see that the first video starts with Tomcat server configuration. The second video is about request dispatcher. The third video is about the most important methods, that is doGet and doPost. The fourth video is about implementation of types of servlets. The fifth video is about servlet config and servlet context. And in the last video, that is the sixth video, which I have discussed um, advantages of servlet context and config. So if you have not watched these videos, do check these videos and let me know in the comment section if you have got any queries. Now let's dive into the today's topic, that is attributes in servlet. Basically, in servlet context and servlet config, we have to perform or we have to use those tags in the web.xml file, right? So from web.xml file, the servlets can get the information, but each of the servlets will not communicate. In this case, in servlet context and config, the servlets will not communicate between each other. The servlets will communicate with the web.xml file, and then it will get the objects. Fine. But what if I want to make the servlets to communicate? Means the first servlet should pass an information to any other servlet. So, and then vice versa. So in that case, we can use attributes in servlets. So we can, that is what mentioned over here, that you can see that it is used to either set or get the information from servlets. So we can do that one in either request scope or session scope or application scope. I'll explain this in the upcoming slides. So now the summary is that using servlets, attributes in servlets, we can pass information between servlets. All right. Now, how to do that? We're going to use 4 methods. Set attribute is used to create the attributes. And then once the attributes are set in one servlet, and we can get the attributes in another servlet using get attribute method. And then this is get init parameter names. If you want to return the names of the attributes, then you can list out the names. Or if you want to remove the attribute, we can use removeAttribute method, means like to delete the attribute. Okay, so this is the application scope and request scope. So consider that this application scope is the servlet one. In that, we'll be using again the servlet context interface, which we have discussed in the previous video. Servlet context is an interface, we know that. You might have a question that why don't we use servlet config? Yes, of course, but in servlet config, we don't have these methods like set attribute, get attribute, remove attribute, and then that get init parameter name. That these methods uh, are from servlet context interface only. All right, so that's why we use servlet context object here. Now, so you might be familiar with this line because we have discussed earlier. Servlet context, then the context object equal to get servlet context method, and then here I'm using set attribute method, and then this is the attribute name, and this is the value for the attribute. And if you want to get this attribute in another servlet, you can use get attribute method, and then you have to specify the attribute name so that it will print the value for us. So you can call it in this way, that request dot get attribute, and then you have to say the attribute. You have to call the attribute name so that we can print the attribute value. That's it. So let's go for the demo and then we'll see how to perform the same. All right. Now let me switch back to NetBeans and I'll just go to this. Let me close all these. Yeah, you can see that my project attribute demo, and then I have 2 servlets, and then there is a web.xml file. So right now we don't want to do anything in this web.xml file. If it is servlet context and config, we need to do something over here. But as of now, I'm not you have to just open a new project and then you have to create these two servlets. That's it. And then what I want to do is in index.html, what I'm trying to do is that I'm creating a hyperlink for the first servlet. So whenever I run this project, it'll show me this hyperlink for the first servlet. Then if I click on that, it goes to the new servlet one. So let's check this servlet, like what I have done. Let me show you that. Yes, so this is new servlet, and by default it is using HttpServlet class. And here you can see that we need to use servlet context as we have discussed in the PPT, um, because the set attribute, get attribute, and all the methods are available in this servlet context object, right? And this is my object name, context1. So context1 dot set attribute. I'm creating the attribute. The attribute name is company and the value is Amazon. Fine, that's it. And then I'm creating a hyperlink for the servlet 2 over here. So this is the name of the servlet 2, means my second servlet. So I'm just creating a hyperlink and then I'm just closing it. So now if I open this second servlet, now what I'm trying to do here is, again, I'm using servlet context. This object name can be anything. It is not necessary that in the previous file we have used it as context1 and I need to use the same. It is not like that. Fine. And over here, I'm using get attribute method to get what? To get the attribute, and then it'll, get the value for me. So the attribute name is company and the value is Amazon, right? So what I'm trying to do is that I'm just trying to print welcome to, and then this value will be stored in this variable n. So I'm just printing it. So now it will print welcome to, and then it should print Amazon, which means from this servlet, we are passing the information to the second servlet. So that is what. So if you want to do so, we need to use attributes. All right. Now let me run this for you, and then you can see that. Now this particular output we are getting from the index.html page. If I click on this, and again, in index, in the first servlet, this is the first servlet, right? New servlet. In that I have created only a hyperlink, and then we have used set attribute method and we have set some attribute. Fine. And if I click on this, it goes to the second servlet, and then it is displaying the attribute value which we have set in the first servlet. So this is how we can make, or we can pass information between servlet using attributes. Now I want to do something over here.